If you could sit across from your younger self right now, what would you say? Not the polite version, not the everything happens for a reason nonsense. I mean the real talk. The things you wish someone had told you before life knocked you around a bit. Would you apologize? Would you warn them? Would you tell them to run away from certain people or towards certain chances? Or would you just sit there for a minute, look at that younger face and think, God, I was harder on you than anyone else ever was. Today, I want you to imagine that conversation properly, not as some fluffy idea, but as something real, powerful, and healing. Because here's the truth. You can't go back and change what happened, but you can change how you hold it. And sometimes the person who most needs your kindness is the younger you still living in your memories. So let's start there. Imagine your younger self walking into the room. Pick the age that still stings. Maybe it's the teenager who felt like they never fit in. Maybe it's the 30-something who was exhausted and pretending they weren't. Maybe it's the version of you who stayed in the wrong relationship. 10 years too long. See them, their hair, their clothes, the way they sit, the way they keep their shoulders a bit too tight. And for a moment, don't judge. Just notice how young they look, how lost they are, how much they're trying. Now ask yourself, what do they think the future looks like? Because they don't know what you know. They don't know who will leave, who will stay, what will break, or what will quietly save them at 3 in the morning. So if you could talk to them, what would you say first? Maybe you'd start with this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that instead of protecting you, I often joined in with your critics. I copied their voices in my head and repeated them to you. I called you lazy when you were burnt out. I called you selfish when you finally said no. I called you weak when you were simply tired of being strong all the time. I should have had your back, but I didn't know how. I do now. Let that land, because a lot of what you still carry at your age is not just what other people did to you. It's what you learned to say to yourself because of it. So what else would you tell them? Maybe you'd talk about the body first, because younger you probably thought their body was the enemy. Too big, too small, too soft, too something, always a project, never a home. You might look at them and say, listen, you are not a before picture. This body will walk you through heartbreak, funerals, illnesses, long nights, silly dances in the kitchen, and some of the best meals of your life. Please don't spend the next 20 years hating it in photos. Feed it, move it, rest it, and stop letting strangers in magazines decide if you're allowed to like yourself. You might tell them, you don't need to be beautiful to deserve respect. You don't need to be thin to be worthy of love. And the lines that will one day show up on your face, they're not flaws, they're proof that you stayed. Then maybe you'd move on to love. Younger, you probably thought love meant intensity. Big fights, big makeups, big drama, begging people to stay, shrinking yourself so they wouldn't leave. You might look them in the eye and say, love is not supposed to feel like you're constantly auditioning. If you are always trying to prove you're worth staying for, you are in the wrong story. Do not trade your peace for someone else's chaos. Do not spend 10 years trying to convince someone to choose you. When there are people out there who would be grateful just to meet you once, the right people will not need you to bleed to feel loved. And maybe you tell them this. Pay attention to how you feel more than what they say. If you are always anxious, confused, or second-guessing yourself, that is your nervous system talking. Listen to it. You are not too sensitive. You are receiving information, then boundaries. Younger, you might have believed nice people say yes. You could tell them, saying no will save your life. Say no to the overtime that breaks your health. Say no to the friend who only calls when they need something. Say no to family members who weaponize guilt. Say no to relationships that require you to abandon yourself. Every no to what drains you is a yes to the life you actually want to live. You do not exist to keep everyone else comfortable. And while you're at it, you might want to talk about time. Younger, you likely thought life was a straight line study, work, family, retire, done. You might tell them, life is not that tidy. There will be detours, collapses, years that vanish into caring for others, and seasons where you feel like you're starting from scratch at an age. They told you you should have it all figured out. There is no such thing as too late. There is only now and what you do with it. You could say, stop treating your 20s, 30s, or 40s like rehearsals for your real life. This is your real life. Wear the good clothes. Say the thing. Plan the trip. Take the photo. None of this is a draft. And then there's money. Younger, you may have thought money was either evil or something they simply weren't good with. You might tell them, money won't solve everything, but ignoring it will make nearly everything harder. Learn the basics. Save something, even if it's tiny. Understand debt before you sign. Know that wanting security is not greed. It's self-respect. Don't wait for the right partner, the perfect job, or some magical future version of you to finally sit down and get organized. No one is coming to rescue you, but the good news? You are absolutely capable of rescuing yourself. Then maybe you'd go a bit deeper. You might look at that younger face and say, you are not the worst thing you've done. You are not the worst thing that's ever happened to you. You are not broken. You are adapting. You'd tell them, you will make mistakes. Some small, some that will keep you awake at night for years. You'll hurt people, even when you don't mean to. You will stay too long where you should have left. You will leave things you'll later miss. But please remember this, regret means you grew. It means you can see from a higher floor now. Use that view to live differently. Don't use it as a stick to beat yourself with forever. And what about grief? Your younger self might still think loss is something other people go through. You know better now. You might take a breath and say, there will be goodbyes you never got to say properly. There will be empty chairs at tables and dates on the calendar that punch through your chest each year. You will learn that grief is not a phase you get over. It is a love that has nowhere to go. But I promise you, you will laugh again. You will find tiny pockets of joy in the middle of your sadness. You will carry them with you, not behind you. And one day you'll realize that the fact you still miss them means you never stop loving them. That is not a weakness. That is your humanity. Then maybe you talk about work. Younger, you probably thought their job would define them, the title, the status, the ladder. You might say, your job is something you do. It is not who you are. You are allowed to change paths. You are allowed to say, this career is killing me. Even if you spent years training for it, you are allowed to choose your health over your CV. One day when you look back, the things that stand out won't just be the promotions. They'll be the afternoons you left early, to sit with a friend who was falling apart, the mornings you took a pay cut, to get your sanity back, the courage it took to walk away from what didn't fit anymore. And let's not forget friendship. You might tell them, please don't invest all your love into people who only see you when they're bored or lonely. Real friends don't disappear when life gets messy. They show up, sometimes quietly, with a text that just says, you on my mind today. Let people go if they only like the fun, shiny version of you. The ones who stay when you're grieving, broke, tired, or unwell. Those are your people. Look after them. Answer their calls. Tell them what they mean to you while you still can. You might add, and be that friend yourself. Not perfect, not always available, but present. The kind of person someone else is grateful to have aged alongside. Now, I want you to imagine your younger self listening to all this. At first, they might shrug, roll their eyes and think, sure, okay, future me. Sounds dramatic. But then you say something that makes them go quiet. You survive. The things you thought would destroy you don't. They change you. They crack you open in inconvenient places. They force you to grow in directions you never planned. But you survive. And not just survive. You find moments of peace you never thought you'd feel. You learn the difference between being busy and being fulfilled. You learn to like your own company. You learn that silence can be safety, not punishment. You might lean forward and say, you're going to waste years waiting to feel ready. Here's the secret, you never do. No one tells you that adults are basically tall children, winging it with better vocabulary. Apply anyway, ask anyway, say it anyway, start anyway. Fear doesn't mean don't. It usually means this matters. And maybe before they leave, you'd want to correct one last lie. The lie that they are too much or not enough. You might say, you are not too emotional. You're just surrounded by people who never learned to sit with their own feelings. You are not behind. You're on your own timeline. You are not boring because you want a calmer life now. You are wise enough to know your nervous system can't live in constant crisis. You don't have to earn your right to exist by being useful every second. Rest is not laziness. Joy is not frivolous. Wanting a gentle life is not a failure of ambition. And then perhaps you'd want to offer something softer. Something like this. If I could go back and change things for you, I would. But I can do something just as important. I can stop abandoning you now. From this point on, I am on your side. I will speak to you with the kindness you deserve then. I will protect your energy the way no one taught you to. I will forgive us for the things we didn't know. I will honor the younger me by taking better care of the older me. Take a breath with that, because this isn't just a nice exercise, and it's a shift. When you talk to your younger self differently, you automatically talk to your present self differently too. You stop saying, I was so stupid, and you start saying, I did the best I could with what I knew. You stop replaying old scenes with hatred, and you start looking at them with context, compassion, and clarity. Now I want you to try something. Later today, when you're alone, sit somewhere quiet, close your eyes. Picture that younger you on the chair opposite, and actually say it out loud if you can, whisper it if you must. Say, I see you. I'm proud of how hard you tried. You didn't deserve the way you spoke to yourself. You didn't deserve the way others spoke to you either. You are not a disappointment. You are not a burden. You are allowed to rest now. I've got you. Notice how your body responds. The tightness in your chest, the lump in your throat, the strange mix of sadness and relief. That's not weakness. That's rearrangement. That is your story shifting from, I failed, to, I survived, and I learned. And if a part of you says, this is silly, it's too late, what's done is done, answer it gently. No, I cannot change the past, but I can change the voice that lives there. And that changes me. As you move through the rest of your day, keep one question with you. If my younger self were watching me right now, what would I want them to see? Not perfection, not endless productivity, not someone who never struggles. Maybe you'd want them to see someone who sets boundaries without apologizing, laughs loudly at small things, sits with their grief instead of pretending it doesn't exist, asks for help when they need it, says, I don't know, but I'm learning, finds joy in silly, ordinary moments. Because if they could see you now, older, wiser, still standing, they might finally believe that it's possible to go through everything they're afraid of and still find reasons to get up in the morning. You can't visit your younger self in person, but you can send a message back. Every time you choose differently today, every time you speak kindly to yourself, you rewrite the story for that teenager who thought they were unlovable. Every time you rest without guilt, you heal the version of you who was only praised for being useful. Every time you walk away from disrespect, you honor the you who stayed because they were scared to be alone. So ask yourself again, what would you tell your younger self? And then quietly start showing them with the way you live now. If you're ready to keep having conversations like this, to keep learning, unlearning, forgiving, and rebuilding. In this stage of life, stay with us here. You're not done growing. You're just growing differently now. And your younger self, they'd be so relieved to know you finally became someone who is on their side.